Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. Major roster drama going down just ahead of Masters Shanghai. Loud Sadak responding to rumours that he might be gone from that team in the near future and definitely entertaining that as a possibility. But the big one, NRG, this super team that seemingly never delivered the results they were looking for. They are going to blow it up. The chemistry seems to be chalked, roster changes will be happening, and Marved is going to be the first man to be cut, it seems, from the roster. What's going on there? Who is going to be next? Who might replace him? Where could Marved go? Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. This is Wolves at Molyneux yesterday, or just this weekend in general, promoting their bundle, which I thought was kind of cool to see. Speaking of Premier League action, we did see this from FNS because now it's official. I think that Liverpool will not be able to overtake Arsenal in the title race, and therefore this bet between Ardis and FNS from last year has now come to fruition, and FNS is like, yeah, give me my money ASAP. There was also this confirmation from Brennan Sideshow. They have decided not to attend Masters Shanghai, which is an interesting decision and also does, I think, raise question for Riot on, whether the setup they currently have is actually for the best. Just because there's incentives for casters not to cast, right? And instead to make content themselves. It's easier. You don't have to fly to China, first of all, and deal with all the complications that comes with that, because even, the flight is maybe bad enough, but, the setup and everything, but even just getting into the country, I think there's loads of forms you've got to fill out, and there's just complications and, red tape that means that maybe it's just worth not going, sitting on the couch, make it easy for yourself, and probably make more money doing a watch party anyway, right? So that is obviously what Brennan and Sideshow are going to do, which I think is very exciting as a prospect. There was also this from Jorgamo on, they were in a scrim and somebody got banned for cheating and the match got terminated. So people were trying to figure out in the replies here, okay, who was this? Who got banned? Like, what's exactly going on? But as Matt says here from Riot, seems like you all figured it out. Like, the scrim is back on. I think he works for anti-cheat at Riot Games. That was not intended. Everyone should be able to get back in. Apologies for the confusion. So, apparently Precision was the guy, according to Hayes' tweet, that was caught hacking, but actually wasn't hacking. So, yeah, thankfully that was resolved. Now, 100T themselves, they won the Americas playoffs in remarkable fashion just the other day, taking down G2 emphatically. And Boostio, though, may have compromised his health in the after party, because as he says, I got so drunk last night that I might have made a slight mistake. We'll update later. And here he is at the emergency room. I might not be able to walk or stand up. So there was talk that he'd somehow pull the muscle, but quite badly, to the point that he can barely walk. So, he turned up to the ER, he turned up to the emergency room or whatever, and they tried to help him out. There's been some speculation that maybe he's going to be stuck in a wheelchair. He's probably still going to be able to play, I imagine, but it's obviously not ideal, is it? This is classic Boostio shenanigans. As Nasna says, he stood up one too many times, right? So this guy was talking all sorts of trash on the main stage, and eventually it came back to bite him. But he was here in their kind of, meal post-tournament. I'm guessing this may have been before the incident in question, but I guess time will only tell. So wishing the best for Boostio, because certainly don't want that to compromise 100 Thieves' chances when they come to the real event. It shouldn't do. But, it might be an awkward couple of weeks there for Boostio. And maybe an example there of why celebrating too early, celebrate when you win Shanghai, maybe more so than when you win the place. But it was still such a good result for them that I don't blame him. But it's just classic situation, isn't it? This guy, you never know what is going to happen next. You also never really know what's going to happen in the Rostermania saga, because going into Shanghai, all the teams that didn't make it, they are probably going to look to consider a change. They may not make a change, but they will likely consider a change. And this is when the Pancada question is raised again, because once again, for the second time in a row in the last couple of months, it seems Pancada has had everything sorted with Furia to get the deal done. They were getting Zans. Apparently all the deal, was sorted with Furia. He was going to sign it and it was going to be job done. But then he has refused to sign it. He's decided to change his mind. Once again, he has told the organization about health problems. And we talked about this last time. And I said at the time, and I felt kind of bad for saying it at the time in hindsight, because, I was speculating, does he really have health problems? Or is it more so that he's, looking at better opportunities elsewhere? But, at the time, I took it at face value and said, you know what, okay, fair play. Likely he's dealing with some things and hopefully he's okay and all this. But, when it happens the second time, you've got to wonder whether these health problems are actually real or whether he's telling Furia, look, I'm going to deal with other things. as effectively as a way to get out of having to sign the contract. Because if I was Pancado, and I've said this, maybe he's watched too many of my videos, like, look, it's about time you don't take the Furia move, you consider other options. And now there are other options, right? Like, I think his agents or himself or whoever's made this call have probably made a good call, because Furia might be okay, but they're not one of the top teams theoretically. And you look at some of these other rosters that are going to make changes, Pancado could slot in, and it might be a pretty perfect time for him to do so, right? So yeah, reports saying that he will not be signing with Furia, and he's decided to buy this time a bit longer, right? Keep collecting the Sentinel's paycheck and probably look for another alternative elsewhere, because there are some teams that are worth considering right now, and let's have a look at some of them. Ye as well still didn't comment anything on the Bleed, stepping away situation. We saw it confirmed yesterday that Ye is out of there, right? He's taken a break for personal reasons, to deal with his health and stuff like this, but, he's not even addressed, he's not said anything, he's not retweeted the tweet, so yeah, I imagine there is more to that than probably meets the eye. But then we've heard rumours over the last few days as to what's going on with Loud, because they had a poor stage. The rumour was that Les was potentially going to be gone for various reasons, and potentially Sadak was in consideration because NRG, the rumour was they were looking to make changes, they were looking to get Sadak and Les, and after the developments of the last few hours, it is rather plausible that this is actually on the cards. And Sadak mentioned it. He says, look, I'll be honest with you, I don't think Loud is going to want to sell me mid-season, probably not going to happen. Lots of people asking if I want to leave. Look, I'll be honest with you, I want to win. I don't know what I have to do to win, but we've been playing shameful, Valorant. This year's been terrible. What can you do? So, yeah, I mean, look, he doesn't necessarily want to leave Loud, but he says, look, I've got to do what it takes to win, and if leaving Loud is one of the things that I can consider to make that happen, then that's probably what he's going to do, if he gets a good offer from elsewhere, which he may well do based on what we are going to see, because we saw that Sadak and Les rumour, and Esports Doug says, hey, Chet, what's going on? And Chet, this is the only thing that he's commented on. And this is always the question, right, when these teams, because the fact that Ethan, Demon 1, Crashies, Victor Marved has failed to deliver, like, pretty emphatically as well, it's pretty embarrassing, right? Because they formed that roster, they had all the talent in the world, there were questions on the IGLing and the way that it was going to mesh, and whether Victor and Crashies were the same players they were before, and the Marv was the player that he was before, these other things. But at the end of the day, that team should have delivered better than they did, and they didn't. So where does the blame lie? And this is always a question in esports, right? Because the coaching staff, the general managers, those that are making the decisions, they get some of the blame, but not always, right? Because Chet can sit there and be like, oh, well, the roster didn't work, so time to make some changes, and we'll still get backed by the organization, it seems, although many would say, look, maybe Chet is part of the problem with the way that things have been done. But then the big rumor comes out from Alejandro last night that NRG is set to bench Marved from their roster. So yeah, tough few weeks, of course, for Canada, but Marved gone. This is maybe not the move that I expected. I think he's been one of their better players, but it hasn't been working, right? And of course, if it's not working, you've got to do something, you've got to try something, and that apparently is what they're going to do. It's been tough for Marv since his return, of course, because he came back to Sentinels. He was forced to be their IGL, and he played okay, but, he was never going to stay long term, so of course they made the move, and, Sims brought Gen.G in to great success, and Marv is here reminiscing on the Optic days, his victory in the background, of course, FNS here in the foreground, so, looking back on that roster and wondering, especially now Ye is available again, whether there's something in that. I mean, it would be crazy, and what NRG are going to do, like, what's their replacement going to be? And also worth noting that Marved, he's removed NRG from his bio. Like, it definitely used to be here, I think. It must have been, mustn't it? Valorant player for NRG, that's now gone. So we're pretty sure this is happening. Even Marv says to Sabrosa, yeah, like, your contract's pending because I'm out of here type thing. So remarkable turn of events. I also don't expect this to be the last necessarily. Is it going to be a one-man move? Minus Marv plus one? Possibly, but I wouldn't put money on it, right? I think that if they're going to make a move, it might have to be a two-man change. And I am kind of surprised that Marved gone. I wonder what they're going to do with Victor and Crashies is my question. Whether, like, Ethan is going to take up the smokes or something. Who knows what they're going to do with roles? Because if they get rid of Marved, which they are, it seems, looking to find another controller player, which is then where you look at Les, maybe, in a weird circumstance, although that apparently Loud aren't going to get rid of him. I don't know what's happening there, but Sadak has seemingly entertained the possibility of changes big time within that team. Then you've got Pankara, and I don't think you can rule that out. Like, in terms of a controller role, like, and Pankara, of course, would prefer to run that role. He's now seeing NRG blow it up. He's seeing Loud potentially make changes, and he's seeing options and dollar signs maybe in his mind as well. So that's one to look for. And then there's other options around the world as well. But I don't know if this is going to be the only move. And of course, it also raises the question, what next for Marved potentially? Does he have another option lined up? Because, you know, you look at most of the teams in the league, mid-season changes is probably not going to happen, right? And Sentinels probably not going to make that move either. He did a great job for those guys, but you know, that time has passed. So you look at the league, and there's maybe 2 teams in the Americas that would look at Marved mid-season, and but even then, it still seems rather unlikely. So tough turn of events for him, and of course for that NRG roster. But what they do next, to me, is one of the big questions, because I don't feel like Marved will be the only departure. I wonder what is going to happen elsewhere. But I feel like, you know, they're probably not going to get rid of Demon 1. They're probably not going to get rid of Ethan. So that leaves the question of, do you blow up Victor and Crashies, get rid of one of those or both of those, and then look to do something else with the roster instead, change around the roles? But is that even going to solve the problem of a super team that didn't perform by bringing in more superstar players that may not still perform? So very much interested your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. And just to mention, finally, I'm away for several days across the pond for various events over the next couple of weeks, so I definitely won't be able to do a VALORANT video every single day. I'll try my best to keep you guys updated on this Rostermania stuff, but if nothing much happens, there probably won't be a video. But yeah, bear with me, I'll do my best. So very much interested your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.